Hello and welcome to Sounding Board, a community access television production of Seroptimus International of Novato. My name is Madeline Peters, and we have two wonderful guests here, and they will introduce themselves briefly. But first, Seroptimus mission. Seroptimus International its goal is improving the lives of women and girls through programs leading to social and economic empowerment. My name is Madeline Peters, and I'll be the moderator for today's show, and my guests are Talyha Romo and Alejandra Vazquez. And our program is the story of their kind of finding their way into their career in teaching. I'm very proud to say these people are preparing to be teachers in the public schools, but let's have them speak for themselves. Talyha and Alejandra, I know you two have very busy schedules. I am so happy to have you here. Talyha, could you just briefly give a little bit of background about yourself, and then Alejandra, I'll have you do the same thing.
Sure, thank you for having us on here. It's amazing to be here. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in West Marin, and I was born and raised out in the country. I went to school in West Marin, and then I went to high school in Tamales High School. And somehow I managed to find my way to Dominican University of California.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And my good fortune was you two were enrolled in my classes last year, and I got to understand the depth of your background and your commitment to teaching. So thank you, Talyha. How about you, Alejandra?
So I'm Alejandra, and so I was born in Mexico, in the south, in Yucatan, and I moved to the United States when I was 1.5 with my mom and dad. And we made it to San Rafael, and we've lived here for over 20 years. I've gone to public school and there my whole life. And it was in 5th grade when I decided that I really wanted to go to Dominican. That was the school that was going to take me to my future.
Well, Dominican's good fortune, certainly my good fortune, and your future students, I know, will feel fortunate as well. But this program is really your story. It's kind of like how you arrived at your career, how the different, and I know there were challenges along the way. So if you don't mind, Talyha, I'll start with you, and then Alejandro, you'll have a chance. Just a little bit about how you found your way or your arrival story.
So the first time I was approached about speaking about the topic of college was actually in 6th grade. My parents didn't go to college, so it wasn't a topic that we talked about in our household. So I was approached by my principal, and he wanted to have kind of like a support group for reading so we could improve our test scores. And I had really good grades, so I was really shocked that I was going to be pulled aside for a reading group. And I just, throughout everything, I just figured out that he wanted to help me and to put me to my full potential. So he asked me, where do you want to go to college? And I was so confused because I had never had that question asked. And I said, I don't know. And he said, you need to know where you want to go to college. Start making a plan. And I was in 6th grade. So I was kind of like, what is he talking about?
Right, because you had no conversation about this within your family group.
Exactly. So I started researching, colleges that I could fit into. And I really liked UCLA. And I also really liked Arizona State. And I mainly wanted to go there because I was really interested in astronomy. So first, I wanted to become an astronomer. And as time went on, I figured that I really didn't want to do that. I felt like I could do so much more, and I could help so much more people if I was a teacher. And I didn't realize I wanted to be a teacher until I was a junior in high school when I was student representative to the school board. And there was just so many issues that I thought, we need to change. And that was the first time when I figured I want to be a teacher, and I'm going to try to change the education system.
That's a tall order. And this is for someone who is in high school in her junior year and really has had only a few years to even think about this, and you coming to that kind of career path. So let's hear from you, Alejandra. Can you tell us a little bit about your arrival story?
Sure. So like I said, it was in 5th grade when I decided I want to go to Dominican. But before that, like I said, I was born in Mexico. And so my family, we're first-generation immigrants to the United States. So college really wasn't brought up in the household as much. But in school, I had the great fortune of meeting my 2nd grade teacher, who she really brought out my love for learning. I was very shy in her classroom. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I kind of put myself aside. And she was the one that really guided me to want to learn English and learn all of these amazing things like science and math. And through her, I learned, wow, I really want to be just like her.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I want to be. I want to be her. And of course, as a 2nd grader, you always want to be your teacher. She's a rock star to anyone. And as I went on through school, in 5th grade, I met a teacher who went to Dominican. And he was telling me how Dominican had a really great teaching program even back then. And I started looking up colleges. And as a first-generation student, I thought, well, maybe I could go to college. It could be a possibility. And I really didn't think that I would go to college. I thought, well, if I try hard in school and maybe if I do some community things outside of school, I could go. But it really wasn't the thought that I would go. It was that maybe I'd work after high school. And so he actually pushed me and told me of a lot of other community resources that really did give me the leadership of myself to push myself to want to go to college even more and follow the path of wanting to become a teacher. And so through many years in middle school and high school, I kept going through these programs that were guided toward leadership, especially in low-income first-generation students. And they were the ones that helped me want to go to college and go to Dominican and really fulfill my dream of becoming a teacher, which I'm in the path to right now.
I know. It's just amazing. I think both of you will be, well, it depends on if the school district's going to snap you up and say, here, we want you right now. But what you're both are trying to do is finish the requirements so that you're certified California teachers and available then to share your knowledge with the students in California. Tally, I know that you had a few things that came up in your life, and you had, as you said, people pushing you. You were sort of tapped at a very young age in a leadership role. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I had amazing teachers throughout my school. Elementary, I had a wonderful principal who mentored me through college. We're still very, very close. He was my main supporter, as well as my parents. My parents, they only went up to 6th grade in Mexico. So one of the reasons they immigrated to California into the United States was so that their children could have a better education and a better life. And I really took that message to heart because my parents worked so hard and, you just want to fulfill their dreams. So that was definitely my push throughout my whole education.
Mm-hmm.
We actually started a mentorship program.
Who's the we? I'm sorry. Who's the
Jim Patterson.
Okay.
He was the principal at Westmoreland while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And we both kind of created this mentorship program. We didn't know what exactly our goals were or anything, but we decided we need to help first-generation students get to college. And along the way, we made mistakes and we learned from them. And the program has been going for several years and it's still continuing. Mm-hmm. So I'm very proud of that.
So you're still involved in this, even though now that you're preparing to enter the career of teaching, you're still involved in this mentorship program.
I feel like giving back to the community, which did so much for me, is just something, it's a must, And I have 2 mentees at the moment. One is a junior and one's a sophomore.
Are they in high school? Or
they are in high school.
They're in high school, okay.
And they're also 2 Latinas, mm-hmm. and they are crafting their way to college. So we are planning to take all these tours of all of these colleges, you know, opening the doors for them, because my parents couldn't do that for me because they didn't know. So I just want to share the knowledge with them that I've gained throughout the mentorship program and offer that to them, because I feel it's very important, and education is the key for everything.
Well, you're really paying it forward now. I mean, it's like, it just seems as though you had the right people backing you up, talking with you, pushing you, helping you with the resources so you pushed yourself, and now you're bringing other people along with you and moving them through the process as well. That's extremely commendable. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. You have a very busy schedule. Thank you. Okay, Alejandra.
For myself, very similar to Tally, definitely. My parents did come to the United States, so we had a better education, and that was always the drive, and especially my teachers too, just pushing me to want to go to college and continue that path. And I feel like me and Tally lived a similar parallel life.
Did you meet? Did you meet before you started?
We didn't,
college?
which is very crazy because we've both lived in Marin our whole lives, and we've never met before. But yeah, community has always been really important to me, especially volunteering. Volunteering was the key for me in high school, was being able to get out there and not want to do it because you're going to get paid or because you have to do it, but want to do it. And so going out and helping local communities with fundraisers, or just even translating some grades, translating during meetings, just being able to get out there and really get to know the people was really important for me throughout high school. And in high school, I noticed through my Latinos Unidos club as president that we really didn't bring in that community aspect into our schools. And so I started with the help of my mentor teacher that we'd start part of our club as a tutoring center for the English language learners that were at our school. A lot of them were really struggling throughout school, and it wasn't just that they struggled academically, but also socially. They wouldn't break out from their group, which was common. I mean, most people in high school, you kind of stick to your cliques. But the purpose of the club was to have them come in, be able to talk to native English-speaking students and also Latino students that they could relate to, and get the help that they needed in school, but also create a new community within the school of new people that they could get to know. And that really pushed me to want to keep teaching. Seeing those students want to learn math, the hardest subject they said was math, because what do we need with all of these numbers? But of course they did. They learned their math, and they got so much more out of it. They got new friendships that they still hold today, which they still tell me about how if it wasn't for that club, they wouldn't have met some of their best friends. So that was always really important for me, just having that community and wanting to push people to learn, and have that through my parents and their struggles to push me even further.
It's amazing. You two have amazing stories. There are a couple of things that, as both of you were speaking, that occur to me. One of the things that both of you talked about was translating. And Tally, I know we've had this conversation before. What were your early experiences translating?
As Alejandra said, volunteering is very important. And I actually translate at back-to-school nights, open house, any school event that they need me for, I will translate for them. I just feel that having someone to translate everything that's being said in English is very important, and it creates more of a community with the Latino parents, just because sometimes they're hesitant or they just feel insecure being in a place where they're not going to understand what is being said. And as a future teacher, I think back to school night and open house are very important, and parents should be able to understand what is being said. So I go and I translate, and I always get a whole bunch of questions like, are you a teacher? And I'm like, not yet, but I will be. So it's always great to help out the Latino community. I just feel so proud to be Latina, and I think that helping and helping them get into the education system and helping them create the community within the school and with the school is very important for their child's education.
That's amazing, and your willingness to be so devoted and connected to the community and to go back and be the translator at what are very important events to build community. Alejandra, what about your experience? Did you, again, did you think back on to translate, whether people translated for you or not, you just had to figure out your way on your own, and what you did and are doing now to kind of build that community?
So for me, translating actually started really young. I had to translate for my mom during some of her teacher meetings, and of course, trying to figure out what that word was in Spanish was very funny. I'd always try to combine 2 Spanish words to make up 1 English word, which was always really confusing for my mom. She was like, "Are you sure that's what she meant?" But yeah, it was very early on. And now I still translate for teachers. I go in, especially for elementary school teachers, go in during back to school night and then open house, but also during grade reports. I go in and I help them translate what they want the parents to know is what they need to help their child at home. That's something I feel is like the biggest help. Teachers always give their students notes to take home, and the parents are like, okay, now what? They don't know what to do with it then. So being able to translate it for them and understand fully what the teacher expects for the parent as to helping their child in their education is really important. And also being able to communicate with these parents. The teachers feel that if they don't communicate with them, then how are the parents going to be able to know to communicate with their child what they're learning? There's just no connect there. So if it wasn't for the translating, there wouldn't be a connection. And that's really what I find is really important, bringing in that home and then the school communication to one. And that's really important.
The one thing I want to emphasize is not just translating, because you can have someone who's fluent in Spanish and English be the translator, but you're also translating, you're in the context. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing that I think strikes me. In your translating, there's actually one question I wanted to ask you before we talk a little bit more about community. What do you think of the documents that people that go home to parents, and they're probably put through a computer or something like that, some sort of software program? What about the comprehensibility of those documents that go home? Do people understand them? Does the Spanish community, the Latino community, understand those documents that go home in Spanish?
I feel like at times they do, and at times they don't. I think it's been it's been progressing over the years. I know when my brother, who is 3 years older than me, was in school, my parents used to say there was no communication. We did not have a community with the school. And this is because there was a lack of those documents of translators and all of that. And they were really shy and hesitant to go to school functions in the first place. However, as the years kept going, my younger brother now, there's translators and there is documents being sent home. The thing is that sometimes my parents only went up to 6th grade in Mexico. So sometimes if you put it through Google Translate, it doesn't completely get to the point.
I see.
And there's words that, you just don't understand, or sometimes, the noun and the verb get mixed up. It's going through a computer processing program. So I think that taking the time afterwards to have a person correct it and go through it and make sure it makes sense is very important.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can imagine, it just seemed a little too efficient to send a document off through a program.
Too good to be true.
Yeah, and it is. Alejandra, what about your experience too?
I totally agree with Talyha. There's more communication, more translation now than there was before. And we can't just put it on a computer. Unfortunately, we can't do that yet. But yeah, I feel like there is, unfortunately, the lack of balance between what is it that we want to sophisticatedly see on the document and then be able to have a parent understand.
So there's the formal language and maybe the more familial language.
Yeah, and so there's a struggle with the balance, and I really don't think it's ever going to perfect, but we're really getting to a really good balance soon, and I see that coming.
I see with both of you, just kind of listening to your comments individually, what I hear coming through is this building of a sense of community in a way that is new for me as a professional educator my entire career. It's rare that I run into people who really step out of their comfort zone and try to move not just in becoming effective teachers in the classroom, but really make that connection to the community. You actually, Talyha, you bring that forward. Did you want to comment any more on that? It's almost a sociological change for me listening to both of you talk.
It's a never-ending cycle, and I feel that my personal experience of growing up and having the fear of having my parents be taken away from me was what led me to create the sense of community. Because if I didn't have my parents, who was I going to lean on? So having a community, for me, was very important. And I was so fortunate to grow up in West Monroe. So fortunate. It's a wonderful community. I'm so grateful for the people, for all the connections. It's like a support. There's so much help out there. I had wonderful, community members that helped me get to college. Wonderful programs like 10,000 Degrees that we're both a part of that helped us get to college. Whether it was financially or reading over our essays, going through our FAFSA, going through our applications.
Just kind of following you so that they could be available if there are any questions and things like that, to make sure that the process was handled a little bit more smoothly.
Yes, definitely. And having my parents not go to college, it was kind of like, what do I do? I was lost in this, jungle of applications and all this paperwork, which I had no idea even existed. So having 10,000 Degrees and the mentorship program at Tamales High School and Westburn Elementary, I was able to manage my way and figure out that Dominican was where I wanted to be. I applied to Boston University, Sonoma State, and Dominican. And deep down inside, I just wanted to go to Dominican.
Well, how fortunate are we? How fortunate am I? One of the things, we only have 5 minutes left, and you're both going to be teachers. What is it that you want to bring to your teaching? You both talked about your commitment and helping sort of pay it forward. Why don't I start with you, Alejandra? What is it that you want to bring to teaching as we close our show?
I want to bring to teaching the ability for the parents to feel comfortable. I want parents to be able to come into the classroom whenever they want, not just come help me and grade some work, but really be able to come in and talk to me and ask me, what is it that I can do? How can I help my child? And feel comfortable that they can do that. Any parent, not just a Spanish-speaking community parent, but any parent really come in and want to help their child. And I hope I can inspire their students and themselves as parents to want to come in the classroom and it kind of be like a second home for everyone, not just the child and myself.
So again, making that connection. And what about you, Talyha? What do you want to bring to your teaching?
I want to have an atmosphere of community and have that be the foundation for my class and for my students, to have someone they can trust, they can lean on. And not just the students, but as Alejandra said, the parent. And not just Latino parents, but any parent whose child is in my classroom. I want to have the sense of community and trust. And I want to be a bridge between the Latino and any other community. Being bilingual, I was so fortunate, and I think that being able to help people cross cultures is it's something I can do, and I think that it's something that will help in a class, in having everyone, celebrate diversity in the classroom.
Well, both of you, I commend you for your efforts and your successes. We didn't even have a chance to talk about your scholarship, but both of you, that would be another topic. It's like we talked about your practice of teaching, but then your own research and scholarship, which is another channel. It's another demonstration of your commitment to education, your commitment to the community, and your commitment to becoming excellent teachers. Anyway, thank you. I know you have multiple jobs and multiple lives, so I really appreciate your taking time to be here today, and I applaud your efforts. I feel very privileged that I had a chance to have a year-long conversation with you as we navigated the process, your part of the path to your process to becoming teachers. And I look forward to times when I can be sending people, oh, I know these two teachers. You must see their classes. And we can do other programs on your successes as teachers. I would like to take this opportunity again to thank Talyha Romo and Alejandra Vazquez for taking time to be here and to discuss their career path and their motivation to share their knowledge, wealth, and talents as they become California teachers. Thank you very much to Seroptimus International of Novato, who serve as crew members for this program. Thank you to Leon Johnson, who is our studio engineer. And thanks also to the Buck Institute for Research on Aging for providing us with the television studio. My name is Madeline Peters. Again, thanks.